Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, criminal court, and other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Marianne Petrie, and you can find me, my books, and blogs on dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com. And if you have a tale to tell, you're also welcome to reach me there at dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com. I have a return guest. I have my good friend Nate Munro back on. He's from Colorado. He's been on season 5, episodes 167, 180, 198, and 222. He's back on today to talk about the PALADN toolkit that would be very helpful to parents. Tell me more, Nate.
Thanks for having me back, Marianne. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, glad to have you on.
Uh, um, I guess to get started, I've taken my notes. I've been working within the family court system, first myself in my own personal case, and then for helping other parents get through their little rounds of hell.
Hmm.
And I've been doing that for about 2 decades now. The last 3 years,
Wow.
I've been working as a certified ADA advocate. And I'd helped other parents before that, but my advocacy really stepped up after I hit that point. And so I basically want to take a lot of the information that I have learned as far as being a certified ADA advocate to teach parents how to leverage disabilities in their favor in court instead of having them leveraged against them in court. Because this is a very common practice within the court systems to blame a parent for either having mental health issues or substance abuse. And this goes a long way to help them in their efforts to do false accusations, what they call the silver bullet,
Hmm.
and other things like this to disadvantage and slander a parent, where the courts should be, if they followed the law at all, they would be protecting those same people for those exact same reasons. But
Hmm.
instead, they will say something, this parent is irrational and difficult. And because of that, they will say, well, they've got a mental illness. And many times this is just because they're standing up and saying, hey, you guys need to follow the law. And they'll say, well,
Hmm.
quit being difficult. You just are supposed to lay down and take it. And so when this is leveraged against a disabled person, this is incredibly insidious. And
Hmm.
it's evil. And we're going to get into, I can call them evil. They've earned it. And we're going to part of what the toolkit's about is helping to liberate parents and empower them so they can start using these words that they'll often call bombastic or hyperbolic, but they are absolutely true. And so my toolkit is basically a gaslighting removal machine. It is also a way to just destroy lies in general. It helps parents with a lot of the legal procedures that they're going to be in, at least as a guide. It's not legal advice per se, because I'm not tailoring it specifically to your case. But
Hmm.
in the toolkit, I have AI instructions for how to take the templates for emails and different filings provided in the toolkit and have AI customize them for your case using your own information that you will also input into it. And everything is in there step by step. Now, it sounds like a crazy bunch of information I'm saying here. Like, I've got neat stuff in there.
Uh-huh.
Like, we're going to go over it a little bit later. Like, I've got a worksheet to show how your caseworker or judge is truly evil, like diagnosably evil. And
Hmm.
we can show this because we've got a clinical psychologist to be able to back it up. So we just need to document their antisocial behavior and not
Hmm.
necessarily do the diagnosis ourselves. But what we're doing is diagnosing behavior patterns in these individuals that clinical psychologists agree are antisocial and are attributable to different personality disorders, specifically antisocial personality disorders like covert malignant narcissism, sociopathy, and psychopathy. And so you may hear me use the term institutional psychopathic groupthink as we're going through
Hmm.
this. And this is the word I use to describe the mentality, the cult-like mentality that occurs within government systems. This can
Hmm.
also occur within religious systems. It can
Hmm.
occur within private organizations. So it works really well to describe the family law industrial complex because there's really no start or stop between the private contractors that work with these criminal conspirators inside the government
Mhm.
body, right? So this is like a criminal cabal that has taken over positions within the government. So when I'm saying we're showing antisocial activities here, this is not to say the government itself is wrong, although the policies themselves are antisocial also, but it's a government of the people. And so we can correct this stuff. But the first step is being able to identify when these people are stepping out and not doing things legally. So
Mhm.
the toolkit is a tool to help you document and be able to report this to other people. That's where, like, that worksheet to show somebody's truly evil. So you can say, when I call them evil, this is why.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then you can put the emails behind or whatever that show that same type of behavior. And these are things that are common occurrences within family court. So we'll get into the specifics of that. But just to get started, actually, is another thing to point out to the community. Um, the reason this is not considered legal advice in my case
Mhm.
is this is legal education. I'm teaching you guys about the different steps. Much of it is AI generated, meaning I'm just putting down what AI did. I reviewed a lot of it. I've reviewed it, I should say, not a lot of it. I've reviewed it. So these are things I agree with, but it
Mhm.
was AI generated. And then
Oh,
I'm
that's
just
cool.
basically going to be teaching you how to operate the software within AI to be able to manipulate this to get your own case uh, outcomes, I guess, your own decisions for your case, to develop your own strategies. And that way it's custom tailored to your case in a way that only you would know, anyways.
Mhm.
So, and by that token, none of the advice I'm giving you here is tailored to any specific case, even though it might seem like I'm talking exactly about your case because we're just talking about these problems that are systematically happening within child support or CPS or family court. So there, you could see a lot of resemblances between what I'm talking about in your specific case, but I haven't used your name in any of it. So it's not legal advice per se.
Mhm.
And the last point here is I can speak to the law regarding the ADA as I am a certified ADA advocate. So I can get into in-depth discussions with that. All right. The last thing I want to say is just to keep you and me pretty much protected here, Marianne. Under Title 2 and 3 of the ADA, I request that there be no retaliation or legal reprisal against me or my publishers or people publishing my content for asking AI questions, exercising my civil rights to free speech, or, and especially in regard to reporting structural failures in our government. Just to get that out of the way. So
Mhm.
we have something to play back for anybody that wants to cause trouble. Anywho, I'm going to show you guys all how to do this very same
Great.
thing. So you can
Yeah.
do these kinds of things and make statements like that when you're paranoid about being attacked by the government. It's not paranoid if they're actually after you, though, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's real.
Let's hope not.
Well, we all know that you do this long enough, you make a name for yourself. And I've been speaking in courtrooms and stuff, so I'm not I've I don't not everybody's my friend, we'll say in the courts. We can
Right.
leave it at
Same.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I know you know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, did you have any you'd had a chance to review some of it already, Marianne. Did you have any specific questions you wanted to start off with that like because you would be a better opinion of some of this as somebody with fresh eyes. I've been living this thing for like 3 months straight, so
Oh, wow.
it's
Yeah.
hard to tell from.
It was really well put together because
Thank you.
it was, easy for someone who's stressed out to comprehend and not. I mean, I didn't find it stressful going through it, looking through it, because you've got,
Nice.
your activist cookbook, the ADA Holy Grail for Family Court, activist advocate tools, sorry about that, AI solutions for pro se litigants, and busted the art of catching liars in lying. That is so important. When I saw that, I thought, yeah, yep, yep. Also, the Latin terms and glossary, because it seems like they flip these words around, and it's like, for lack of a better word, double speak.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
they just flip
And
it.
if they hear you mispronounce those terms,
Uh-huh.
they will use it against you like you're an idiot. Then
Right.
they start being biased against you the moment you do anything that they can pick on.
Right. Right, right. And the parent glossary, you've got your checklist for hearings, motions, appeals. I mean, it's really great. You've got your disclaimer, and I mean, it's really well put together, I think. That's my
Thank you.
opinion.
Thank you.
And that's
The
what people need because it's not
Yeah.
overwhelming.
Well, I tried to, and the first thing is when people are hearing about it right here before you get to look at it and stuff. This toolkit includes 9 books. And I'm saying that to you so everybody can just brace themselves. But
Hmm.
9 books sounds like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to read 9 books. It's not 9 books altogether that you need to read all to just understand everything.
Hmm.
Each one is like a module for if you're dealing with different parts of family court or whatever. There's a book in there called Objections 101. This just helps you
Hmm.
in hearings to know how to make objections, how to enter evidence, and how to
Hmm.
respond to objections when they're used against you. This is a
Right.
hugely powerful tool but only if you're in a hearing. Other than that, you don't need to even worry about that one, but you've got it as a safety net in the case that you end up going to a hearing. Then you're gonna be like, well, I'm gonna go rock this thing. I know how to do this. And
Mhm.
I wrote that book actually with another parent advocate who he was the best example of somebody using objections as a pro se litigant that I have ever seen. He
Mhm.
went in and beat out a nationally or a locally renowned attorney in court, and she brought a support attorney, her emotional support attorney for her into the courtroom, and he beat them both out. And so I was like, you're the guy I want to write this book with. So like I've been working with lots of different advocates to review these things. And the Pro Se Tools book specifically,
Mhm.
that covers filing in your district courts, in your appellate courts, then in your state Supreme Court, then in the federal district court. And the whole thing is there's lots of it that's tied to the ADA, which is a supreme federal law and
Mhm.
covers all 50 states. But all the statutes and state codes and rules of procedure and all that stuff can then be translated from the templates that I have, because I've got templates in there of all these different things and emails to write in different situations. But it can take all the codes and laws, statutes basically, that are cited in those, and you can use AI to translate them to your state. And the AI prompts are provided. Everything is very much um, copy pasteable. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's a word, but you
Yeah.
can copy paste these things directly into chat, take the results from chat, take them, copy paste them right back over into the motion templates, and then you're ready. You've got a thing that you can file with your local courts. And it's very easy to customize. Say if you use specific court captions, like I know I've had a parent who's in Massachusetts and they had different types of court
Mhm.
caption templates than we do in Colorado. The ones in Colorado work for a lot of states, but if you have another state that we don't have yet in our template library, please do just email me. I'm going to make sure my email address is available here at the end. But
Mhm.
email me, let me know, and we will work with you because this is a community-based project to try to help to empower all parents. And
Mhm.
so we whatever we can do to make it more effective and more reliable for people um, is what will be done. And it's a group effort with all the advocacy advice that I can gather here.
Mhm. No, that's good because I like how you broke it down. They're separate books. They don't have to read it all, at once.
It's kind of there are times where things come together, like in the one book called the ADA Holy Grail. I go over
Mhm.
my formula for how to use ADA requests along with specific elements of government procedure to really tie them together to really constrain a state worker to the point where they have to follow their mission statements and their laws in order to be able to fulfill your ADA request, which is a federal request, which will supersede all state and local laws. So it really puts some teeth into something that they
Mhm.
otherwise would completely ignore. And it gives you like 4 or 5 different side ways to go really put the thumb screws on them so they don't have any other choice but to follow the law and to accommodate your requests. And that's a hugely powerful tool, but it's built on concepts made in a lot of the other books. So I do like deep dives into like ADA requests in the Advocate Tools book. But the Pro Se Tools book will also have just a little brief spot on how to make an ADA request. So each book
Oh, that's good.
is self-contained, but they all work together as a unit also. But each one is a standalone. So the things you need in that book are in that book for whatever processes are covered in there. And then you can do deep dives and get even more information on certain things. So you have expert level knowledge on other stuff.
Definitely, because I have parents asking, like, how do I get, ADA? How do I write this up? It's like, I don't know because I've never done it. And I should have. I wish I would have known about the ADA when I was going through, or these people were putting me through this hell, you know.
Yes. And what is it? If you don't know about this, Marianne, you can vouch to this stronger than anybody can. I lost my arm because of the health effects that they create with these things, but
Hmm.
just the stress alone causes increased risk of diabetes, cancer, and heart attacks. And like, see, and it's common. This is
Hmm.
not abnormal at all. This is what happens when the toxic stress puts that fatty film over your liver, and then
Hmm.
your liver shuts down and your body starts into these autoimmune diseases. And
Oh,
all of
yeah.
diabetes, cancer, and heart attacks all stem from that same source. It's because it shuts down your immune system so you
Hmm.
can't fight against these things. Otherwise, your body has natural answers for all this stuff.
Right.
And your
But what,
blood sugar wouldn't spike as hard if your
uh,
adrenaline and your cortisol wasn't going
it's
constantly, because
that
it's the cortisol
cortisol.
exposure that's really
Oh,
dangerous for heart attacks too.
yep.
So, this is not, please go back and check out my other podcast with you on therapy techniques, because
Yeah,
that was a
it's
good
it's the
one.
mind-blowing. Yeah,
Right. It was the
yes.
mind-blowing one.
Yes. Yes, it
So
starts out saying mind-blowing. Everyone should just go to that segment on my YouTube, Slam the Gavel, and look at that because it's so important. It really helped one of my friends who was getting over a really bad illness.
awesome. That's great to hear. You know what, Marianne? I have to thank you again for releasing so many of my clips back there, because you reminded me of my own advice. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to take cold showers again. I just did
Yep.
that. I started because you re-released the videos just recently. It like reminded me. So I went in, took that cold shower, and I got to tell you, it's annoying while you're doing it, but once you get done, you feel empowered already because you're like, I can put myself through uncomfortable things. You got nothing on me. And you just go at
Right.
these people. And then it's helpful and it's empowering. And it's really silly because it's just a cold shower. But if you can force yourself to do something uncomfortable and you know you have that in you, you're
Hmm.
able to do all kinds of things that otherwise seem like they are in that painful category. Because
Hmm.
the child support and the family courts are really
Yeah.
good at making mountains out of molehills for you,
Oh,
right?
most
Just
definitely.
that's their whole job, is to just create problems for you that then you have to solve.
And the pro se, when the pro se, the person that represents themselves, when they go into court and they present the law and they know, they know the pro se is right, they really hate them. And I
Right.
tell people, be ready for a lot of verbal abuse. I was conditioned for it because I put up with 10 years of verbal abuse and emotional abuse. But I mean, I don't know, found it somewhat entertaining. So if you kind of twist it and not be afraid of it,
Look at it
uh,
as a badge of honor.
right, right.
They
Because
wouldn't get mad at you unless you did something that really pissed them off. That means you upset their entire day. And what they wanted for you was evil, right? So you just
right.
upset an evil person with their day. Congratulations. Yeah, okay. First thing is, a lot of parents in this whole thing are still in a people pleasing mode. I used to be part of this. So don't think that I'm like saying this is evil or bad. This is just a condition that you need to work through. So when you're in a people pleasing mode, the first thing you need to know is not all people are worth pleasing.
Oh, yeah.
30% of the population have narcissistic traits, 5% are sociopaths, and 1% are psychopaths in the general populace. If you go into cluster sites like where the institutional psychopathic groupthink is,
Mhm.
it's 100% psychopaths. So you just if you make a psychopath mad, be okay with that. And especially if they're
Mhm.
gaslighting you or something already, don't feel bad. You're upsetting somebody who's doing evil things. And look at it this way. There's probably 20 other people that person has hurt that same week, and
Mhm.
they needed this. You are their karma. So just
Yes.
look at it as you're performing your spot in the universe to help correct this stuff. And this is what we need to do is where there's a nationwide intolerance for this type of behavior and how to address these adult children of alcoholics, because that's
Mhm.
what we're dealing with. And not saying that that's all bad, but if you have not learned to heal yourself, you will become an extremely toxic person, like the extremely toxic people we're going to talk about today, or the toxic behaviors,
Mhm.
rather than demonizing any one person. These
Mhm.
behaviors, though, are demonic. I'm going to get into that's the proper word to use here in just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
That's what that glossary is about. People might look at the toolkit and go, "What the heck? This dude just made a glossary of words." Well, we all know during some recent medical things that maybe happened during 2019 and 2020 that are
Mhm.
nameless,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
that the definitions of words can change depending on what's needed in the moment. Well, here I've documented all these definitions of words, so even if they do change, we've got a written history, and I've got links cited to the sources so you can cite the sources. One thing I will ask with the glossary when you're using it actually to combat these people,
Mhm.
what you want to do is cite the source link in your discussions with people. Like you say, the department is literally evil, and then you want to link evil to the definition. Don't link it to the parent glossary. Go into the parent glossary, get the source link that you like the definition best, because I have two or three definitions for most of these. They all kind of agree, but they might be a little different. One might fit your case better than the others.
Mhm.
So copy the one you like into your email, and then it's irrefutable because these are all things like vocabulary.com or
Mhm.
dictionary.com or Merriam-Webster, or they're reliable sources. And if they're at odds with that, there's a problem. In fact, the reason I wrote that glossary was because one of the policy and performance manager from Colorado's child support services disagreed with the definition of accountability. I read it to her from out of Merriam-Webster dictionary, and she goes, "I don't agree."
God help us all.
Well, I've learned now that was my first reaction. And how the heck can you do that or whatever? But now I've learned, well, that's self-delusional behavior and gaslighting.
Mhm.
And it's not showing any compassion from my position. It's showing zero accountability. It's
Mhm.
because you can't even agree on what the word is. So, like already, we've had 4 or 5 different traits that could qualify her in the DSM-5 for having an antisocial personality
Oh,
disorder.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how we start to pursue this whole thing. In Colorado, we have a thing called the Psychological Fitness for Duty, the PFFD mental health standard for all state employees. And we just need to, as people, enforce it for the government because the government is incapable of policing itself now that it is totally compromised.
Right. Right.
The other thing that's really nice about my toolkit. Oh, go ahead, Marianne, and then I'll put
Oh,
my
I was
point
going to
in.
say, especially for, attorneys, judges, they're dealing with people's lives.
Yes.
They should have these psych evals every
Yep.
year and random drug screens and lie detector tests because we all know the attorneys are, electing these judges out of favors for friends.
Right. And we can see that they get special treatment regardless, even afterwards, without getting into the political arenas. But Biden's last round of pardons included that Cash for Kids judge out
Yes.
of Pennsylvania. Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes. I mean, it's like, how can this happen? You know what? That
We
bothered
watched
me.
it,
Oh, yeah, I know it, but
but
this haunted
Marianne,
me.
Can I give the short answer?
Oh,
There
sure.
is no national PFFD standard. If there was a psychological fitness for duty standard, Biden would have already not qualified because he wasn't psychologically fit to hold the office. And
Mhm.
that's what psychological fitness for duty means. Is if and we're talking about it in the context of psychopaths and covert malignant narcissists, but dementia is also just as bad if you have the nuclear codes. He
Mhm.
almost got the whole world blown up because of him and his auto pen. And
Yeah.
once again, we're not getting into any of this, and
Yeah.
I'm politically homeless, so this is I have no dog in that race. I'm
Yeah.
just stating the facts that made a system of public endangerment that we were all faced with at one moment, and it was because psychological fitness for duty was not being enforced.
Mhm.
And that is the weak point in all of this. So this is what people need to enforce and work on, make common knowledge. So this is just inexcusable behavior by people that call themselves quote unquote professionals.
Right. And that was also, I believe, a case of elder abuse.
Yes, it's the same. And adolescent abuse and juvie, all these things,
Uh-huh.
they're all the same institutional psychopathic groupthink. It means it's a cult-like mentality operating within an institution that has predatory and psychopathic goals.
Mhm.
Sadistic,
Oh,
absolutely no empathy. This is why even stonewalling you and just being neglective, that's also life-threatening when they are withholding life threatening measures or life supporting services, basic
mhm.
services. Like somebody messing with you with your food card, your EBT card,
Mhm.
SNAP benefits, that could threaten your life. If somebody is not responding to emails, that's psychopathic. And the government is supposed to be of the people. So, like, these are things that are not okay. This is
Right.
not constitutionally viable. And if they want to say, well, we have a state law that does whatever and makes the Constitution not effective here, that's not true. The Constitution is a framework for all of our laws. And if the laws don't abide by the framework in the Constitution, they are unconstitutional, thereby illegitimate because they are not following the actual law of the
Mhm.
rule of law. And so, my point I was going to get into just before this, Marianne, was parents don't need to worry about having to make up any daylight between my position that this is a mafia state and helping them. Normally, when you get these other books and stuff, people are like, let's treat these people like they're just people. These are psychopaths. They require a special set of skills in order to manipulate, not
Right.
manipulate, to work with them to be able to get what you need out of it.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
is almost manipulation at some point because they're manipulating you and you have to counter their moves. Otherwise, they will manipulate you.
And
And
then when you,
normally,
yeah,
oh, go ahead.
but when you counter their moves, then they're calling you crazy. Because
That's why you need to say, well, what you are doing to me, sir, is called projection. That means
yes.
you're psychologically projecting your issues onto me when I can prove here in these emails, this is where the documentation process comes in, that you are the one actually lying or being the difficult one, not following the law, discriminating against disabled people, so on and so forth. Fair enough?
Fair.
Okay, we're going to get into some of the meat here. I want to talk a little bit about basic ADA requests and who qualifies. This is the first deal. I'm going to share my screen here. Give me one moment. Got it there?
Yep.
Okay. So this is one of the books, and I'm giving you guys sneak peeks in here. One thing that's really nice about these books is I've added little icons on the sides of the different chapters so you can quickly scroll through large amounts of information and find exactly what you need. The little handicap guys for disability stuff, and the legal scroll is for laws when you need legal references and such. But we're going to start with the ADA Amendments Act, the ADAAA of 2008. So the reason why I'm starting here with the ADA is the ADA, the AD AAA. Sorry, I'm tripping over my
Mhm.
own words here. Is an amendments act that bill. So it's the ADA is in all states. Now the gaslighting move they like to try here in Colorado is, and all their non-discrimination notices and everything, they never list the ADAAA. They only list the ADA, which includes all traditional disabilities like limb loss and limb difference, like where I'm at.
Like wheelchairs, things like that.
Breaking up.
Yep, I just keep going.
Okay, no worries. The ADAAA broadened the definition of the ADA to include any internal function impairment, and this of major life activities. And this could be intermittent, episodic. It could be consistently all the time for sure, but even things that happen only, and it could be conditional also, like
Mhm.
PTSD. And it covers all mental health issues, anything that would limit your ability to access full government services. It even covers substance abuse as long as you are in treatment. You do not need to be successful in your treatment. You just need to be engaged in treatment. So you can even have hot UAs and you're still covered under the ADAAA as having a disability for substance abuse alone.
Mm.
So I hope that helps a bunch of people because
Mhm.
that's where they normally start for false allegations with lots of parents. Okay, so
Huh.
here we go. A physical or the definition is right here on the screen. A physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. Okay, what's a major life activity? Got them listed right down here. This includes all different functions. Now it talks right down here. The following chart outlines the activities, and we'll get down into that in a second. But here it's saying even if the condition is episodic, intermittent, or in remission, even
Mhm.
so, it's not even happening currently. And it can be conditional on situations too, like CPTSD.
Mm.
So this is the list that I got from my master class with the ADA that I took with the Rocky Mountain ADA, and they're a very knowledgeable group. And
Mhm.
this was an excellent little graphic. So this is exactly perfect to make the point. So any of these issues you're seeing on the screen, it only needs to affect or impair one of them. Once again, conditionally, episodally, or intermittently, anything, any one of these. And for anybody that's maybe listening on a podcast or in the car, it includes self-care, performing manual tasks, seeing, hearing, eating, sleeping, walking, standing,
Mm.
lifting, bending, speaking, breathing, learning, reading, thinking, or working.
Mhm.
So any of those, and of course, CPTSD caused by the legal abuse from the actual family courts or the legal system. I don't even want to use the term justice anymore.
No,
Um,
yeah.
those all affect your eating, your sleeping, your ability to think, your breathing. It will literally stop your breath. That's what sleep apnea is. There's a combination of two, right?
Right.
Self-care absolutely gets curbed right away, right? Performing manual tasks, you can't even focus on what you're doing because of the intrusive thoughts constantly coming in your head and the flashbacks. So it absolutely counts. So that was the point I wanted to make there. Um, in general, when you're making an ADA request, all you need to do is say, by Title II or Title III of the ADA, I request. Now, many counties will have their own forms and stuff. They'll be like, oh, no, you need to submit it this way. That's not how the ADA actually works. It was written before any of their forms were created, and it's a federal law that governs over all state and local laws. So, regardless what things your county thinks is important, they aren't legally required under the ADA.
Mm.
So, the way you know if it's Title II or Title III is whether it's government or private. So, this comes into play when you're dealing with state appointed contractors, right? So, how do you deal with that one? So, with a state appointed contractor, like say a CFI or a
Mm.
GAL or any of these other three-letter combos of people that come and destroy your life. Oh,
Right.
PCDMs too.
Oh.
But Yeah, I know. They're awful, right? PREs and all these different things. Okay, so any of these different guys, they all have to follow the federal law because it's a federal law. So you'll find the first round of defenses normally, well, that doesn't apply to me because I'm not part of the state government. Cool. Well, Title III then definitely applies to you because you're a private citizen and you just clarified it because you said you're not part of the federal, part of the state government or government. And it
Right.
doesn't, federal, state, or local government doesn't matter at all with the ADA. It covers everything. So don't let them BS you like that.
Hmm.
So when you do this, you will just say by Title II of like say you're going into court, you can send them an affidavit that says that declares you as being disabled and what your ADA requests are. You do not need to tell them what your disability actually is.
Hmm.
That is covered, your privacy, your medical privacy is covered under the ADA and HIPAA laws.
Hmm.
So you do not legally need to tell them what it is. Now you can if you want to, if it makes the conversation go easier, but you don't have to. It's not a requirement. And if they tell you it is, you can correct them then. Um,
Hmm.
the other thing is actually under the ADAAA is you can self-diagnose. This
Hmm.
is also why they don't want to include that in the state forms because when you can self diagnose, it means you don't need one of their stupid experts to qualify you with a disability. You can
Hmm.
say, no, I have PTSD and intrusive thoughts from the abuse I suffered. And then
Well,
you don't need to find some expert that will actually sign off that the state abused you because there's
mhm,
always experts that are like, I don't want to put my name out there because I have
mhm.
to get my license renewed every year from the same crooked mafia you're calling out right now. And that's why they
Yeah.
do that, to compromise those folks. But now you legally don't have to go through that. Go ahead. Sorry.
What about these parents that say, the judge and the opposing attorney want their family physician forms and they're saying, this is breaking HIPAA. This is, and and
Have them provide you with the legal proof that you are required to do that.
they won't do it. See, what happened to me was they
Then you ask
wanted
for it as an ADA request.
I didn't know anything about the ADA when I was going through this, but my
This is the answer,
attorney.
though.
You're right, right. So my attorney was, going up against the opposition in front of President Judge John Trusilla, who should have recused himself. But
Oh, my Lord.
he was trying to fight, my attorney was trying to fight, no, you cannot have these documents because, from the psychologist, it's a HIPAA violation. Well, he ruled in favor of the HIPAA violation, like, oh my God. And we walked out of there
So
like,
you've
yeah.
got a very good point here, Marianne. Okay, so what we're dealing with is a mafia state, right? There are certain groups. All this is a bluff at this point because the Department of Justice is a fraudulent organization. I'm going to get into that. I'll leave my Substack link later, but I've got a great post coming on just proving this whole thing with the fraudulent DOJ. Anyways, though, because the DOJ is a fraudulent organization run and it's impossible to actually fulfill its duties by its own service model. That's the problem with it. It's a self-defeating organization, and that's what my post will prove. Like
Hmm.
my post isn't really proving anything, it's just giving them credence to their own words and then just showing definitions of what they just said.
Hmm.
And they're admitting it that they are actually a fraudulent organization. So anyways, since you have that as the backboard for all of this, we're doing the best we can. But what it basically involves is you just need to create a paper trail to be able to prove to other people that this is a psychologically unfit person. Because what does that mean at that point, Marianne?
Hmm.
This is a self-delusional individual who's put his own narcissistic goals above the legal obligations he has to the state for being a public servant, and he's outside of his governmental function by doing these things. He's doing extrajudicial treatments on your case, and they're outside of the law then, right? and
Hmm.
and this is why when you use an ADA in these cases, many times you can win these bad faith state actors over because it's a federal crime that they will be committing, and they within the state boundaries, they have a lot of power, right? A crooked magistrate or a crooked judge, or let alone like a chief judge or the judge that's controlling the whole state, like in your
Oh,
case.
Yeah.
I know that sounds god awful. But even so, you can still take it to a federal level and they don't have control over that necessarily. Now, the top end judges probably have buddies in the federal district courts in your state just to compromise this type of legal action. And I can almost guarantee you those federal judges probably talk to them all over lunch about these things,
Oh,
just the
yeah.
way that the crooked conversations were happening in that Robin Nacetta case that I read the other time I came with Rosemary to the podcast here,
Hmm.
and I in that podcast I read through a written admission from Robin Nacetta, the litigant in there, who is she's a criminal caseworker who was sexually preying on her clients. And she wrote a confession about how the whole racketeering operates within that county, but it's the same everywhere. It's just
Right.
there's one that's an admission. So
Hmm.
here's the deal. In a case where it's generally lawless like that, you have to just accept the fact that these people are breaking the law. And this can really suck in a situation like where you're at, but you just need to document it as best as possible because I think the day of reckoning is quick approaching with this stuff. Here's the deal. These are all based on lies. Lies fall apart really quickly. They could stand for 70 years, but as soon as the truth comes out, all of a sudden things just fall on their ear. And the deal is people who have these type of antisocial personality disorders, their brains are different than most people. They lack the ability to have creative thoughts of their own. It's part of the pathology that they're dealing with because of their childhood wounding. They really rely more on their spinal column to make most of their decisions than using their prefrontal cortex and actually
Hmm.
think about something. They're reacting to it instead. And because of that, they're prone to the same issues over and over. And because of that pattern thinking, they don't really think out of the box. They just fall back on these old uh, coping
Replays.
mechanisms.
Yeah. The replays of their past that they
And,
never
and
dealt with.
Right. And that's what we try to address with a lot of the trauma survivors that we deal with as parents to help them overcome that so they won't be falling into those same traps and ultimately, hopefully, won't become one of those abusers themselves, which
Mm.
happens a lot too. If you don't take a stand against it, it will happen because it's kind of
Mhm.
like a power draw to it, a vacuum almost that sucks you in.
Oh, a generational wheel.
Yes, and that yeah, it is affected a lot of different aspects of society. Part of
Mhm.
that generational problem is too, Marianne, that the human services have been destroying families for at least 5 generations that I know of, and it because of that, you've had hurt kids growing up, raising more hurt kids, and it's degrading badly, and you can see it in society.
Right.
So it's just it's bad. So let's see. One last thing I want to make about the ADA. Did you have any last points about
Oh, no.
generally lawless judges? Because this is a great thing to bring up.
I can't think of anything right now.
Okay. And you've got a really good point because there are points. I want to bring Jamie Logan back with me so we can really discuss how this goes when it's just a complete systemic
Mm.
failure. And
Oh,
her
yeah.
case is really good because she documented everything meticulously and she exercised her rights in every level of court in Colorado and then federally, and everything is broken.
Oh,
And but it's when you're thinking like that, Marianne, we all knew this already, right?
yeah.
This is just getting confirmation and we're documenting it so we can show everybody and make the point. Because ultimately, this whole thing boils down to I know everybody gets upset with people using strong language with things, but the Department of Human Services and family courts are committing a genocide
Oh,
on
yeah.
our own citizens. And with all the hubbubaloo or hullabub, hubbaloo, it's blowing my
Yeah.
mind right now. I can't remember my fake words. With all the shenanigans involving the situation in Gaza, we've all gotten a chance to learn about what constitutes a genocide.
Mhm.
And they keep saying it's very specific, and you have to define intent and all this other stuff. We can do all that. And in fact, in the glossary, it runs through it in no uncertain terms, I have the UN definition in there linked with all the
Oh.
qualifiers, and one of them is affecting taking children away and starving people. And
Mm.
our government does both. Our
Mhm.
own people. 20% of the homeless here are children. These
Oh.
are inexcusable things. And I mean, 40% of the homeless people have jobs. This isn't even a functional thing anymore. Our country's just dysfunctional. For
Right.
the same reason, psychological fitness for duty. If you had people in health and human services who were psychologically fit, this wouldn't be a thing that could stand. And I
Mhm.
like the
Mhm.
idea of RFK coming in as a reformer. Hopefully, he would listen to a podcast like this or something and be able to go, these guys are making solid points.
Yeah, definitely. I hope
Once
he would.
again, non from a political standpoint, I'm just after things to get fixed so we aren't killing as many people.
Right, right. And it'd be nice if he could like and subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Absolutely. Everybody should like and subscribe to this channel. It is heavily suppressed and needs all of our community support to overcome the YouTube algorithm.
I
Good point.
know. Uh,
Okay, just so I'm not going into detail with a bunch of these different things, um, I want to make the point that we kind of covered it a little bit earlier. The method for how this works for making filings in your state,
mhm,
you'll start with a case caption template that you can get from your own county in case the one that is supplied in there does not work for you, because the one in Colorado doesn't work everywhere. We got one for Colorado, Massachusetts so far, and they work in a bunch of states, but your state may be different. And if so, contact me. I can help you if you don't get it, but you can probably just Google search it and find it.
mhm.
Anyways, the case caption is the info box cover sheet thing that goes on the front of all filings. It's the lines with the information in all the boxes of the parties and
Mhm.
the court use only box and that kind of stuff, right? And it
Yeah.
probably will have your case number in it and that kind of stuff. With those, you want to get that first, customize that for your case because you're going to use that over and over and over and over and over in all your motions, okay?
Mhm.
So you've got that sucker customized. And then what you're going to do is, and this works generally, you don't have to buy my toolkit. Just do this in general. And like my toolkit's here to help people. I've gathered all these notes. I've done a really good job, in my
Oh,
opinion.
yeah.
But you don't have to pay money because I know a lot of people are broke. In fact, if you are broke and you would really like one of these toolkits, please contact me. There are nonprofits and other advocates who will cover the cost for you and
Mhm.
do a gift subscription for you. So don't feel like cost is a thing. But here, even without that, I'm here to educate people. So you
Mhm.
use the case caption template. Then what you're going to do is copy over a prompt. You can write the prompt yourself, or I have a book in the toolkit called AI Solutions for Pro Se Litigants,
Mhm.
and it covers 50 different really difficult situations that you run across, over 50, like a lot. It'll develop your basic legal strategy, how you can monetize the damage done to you so you can try and make money off of the damage they've done to you. And
Uh-huh.
that's not grifting by any means. We live in this capitalistic society that survives on money. And so you
Mhm.
have to do this at some point. Lord knows, I tried for 3 years to provide all this stuff for free, and you just can't. It's an insurvivable, you can't survive that kind of thing. So
Right.
this is part of it. They financially choke people out. So this is a way to build some of that back. So you can use your case to your advantage that way. It covers 50 other crazy situations you may run into in family court or with CPS, like writing your own treatment plan, creating an agenda for a family team meeting so you can avoid family court, or family team meetings are a great way actually to make a lot of progress between hearings with the other parties. You say, let's coordinate a family team meeting and we'll have people together. No attorneys need to be involved. If attorneys want to come, they can. If people are uncomfortable, they can do one party, then the other party. You
Mhm.
can do it via Zoom. You don't even have to have a meeting. You could do it via emails where both parties just put in their concerns via emails. You have a third party person take the emails, drop them into AI with the prompt that says analyze these emails, and it will spit out a non biased assessment of what should happen. That's better than you're going to get for PCDM, CFI, PRE, any of these.
Mhm.
That is actually a way more fair approach to the whole thing. Now, the trick is trying to get insidious party to try and join in with you. And
Mhm.
that's, you might be able to get it, you might not. And maybe you have to go to court, but it's another option for you.
Right.
And,
Right.
and if that prompt doesn't work in that book, there's another 48 that might.
Yeah.
It covers a lot of ground, and you might be able to just tweak one word in one of the prompts somewhere, and it will totally work for your case again, right?
Mhm.
The difference between private and government might totally be one of those examples. Like I
Right.
have a private contractor or I have a government contractor, and it totally changes the output in the prompt.
Oh, that's
It's
awesome.
pretty awesome system. And there's also a prompt in there to be able to translate any of the templates from Colorado laws and statutes and codes into your state also, like we mentioned before. So it works in all 50 states. And I want to say this about AI generation of legal templates. AI is very good at pumping out a legal brief for you. It's not always correct. So that's
Right.
why the templates have been included. So it has the basic format laid out for you. Then AI is going to populate it using that, taking the concepts from the template and populating it with your information from your profile and your case, and then pumping out a version of that template customized for you. Then you'll copy paste the AI results back into the case caption template that we made with all your case info on the top.
Mhm.
And voila, you've got your magical motion ready. Now, at that
Right.
point, it's not done. You want to go back and you want to go examine the whole thing and review it. And I often use separate internet searches to check case law, especially.
Yes.
AI
Oh,
is
yeah.
pretty bad with case law, but I found it's pretty good in general with statutes and procedural codes. Those it can nail most times. Check them all anyways, but most of those will be pretty good. The case law, though, is touch and go. To answer that, if you get into the Pro Se tools, there's a section in the end, I think it's chapter 5,
Mhm.
where it talks about Pro Se resources and links. And under the Pro Se links, there's links to all different kinds of codes and resources in there, including a really good one to LexisNexis that is currently on a page for Colorado, but probably could be switched just as easily to search other states just as well. I'm almost positive because it's LexisNexis.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, but that's a good point. I need to set it up so it has a search tool in there. Anyways, though, there's lots of different cool AI tools in there. And I even reference other people's cool AI tools. Larry DeMarco from the Law Center.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know if you're familiar with him, but
Oh,
him and a
yes.
guy named Dean Tong created this really cool tool for defeating false allegations. So
Mm.
I've put that in there too. And I'm not receiving any money for any of these things. These are just awesome things that I fully the what you're getting here in the toolkit is my notes.
Mhm.
These
Mhm.
were all my notes that I use in my own case and in my own cases and the cases I work with. So
No.
that's what this all is.
And that's
And
in
Larry's a super excellent guy. I would never
oh,
want to
yeah.
take from him at all. I haven't met Dean, but they seem like they're doing amazing work.
Oh, yeah, Dean's awesome. I've interviewed both of them.
Excellent. Yeah,
So,
there's so many good minds working in this space right now.
mhm.
This is what I'm saying. I think the devil's on borrowed time.
Uh,
Lies don't last forever, and we're really close to the end of this.
I really hope so because
Yeah, me too.
the generational trauma is just just such a big mess.
Yes. Yes, and we need to be the generations right now. It's basically Gen Z, millennials, and the Gen X, Gen
Mhm.
millennials, and Gen Z need to be the ones to just squash this. And then it hopefully will be over for Alpha
Yeah.
and whatever. We just hope the best for these folks. And we're getting into a crazy spot where we have to do some sort of uh, take back from the government, because if
Mhm.
we don't, they're trying to kill us all. Like I'm saying, this is literal genocide. It's not just human services either, though. You can see it in our food systems, in air quality, with them helping out there, with the water quality, whether you even have water. These are coming up to be major issues with basic needs.
Mhm.
And that's part
Yeah.
of what qualifies the U.S. as a failed state too. It's So we've got to do something because it doesn't have to be this way. It's just this way because we're tolerating it, which is ridiculous, right?
Right. Right. I mean, once you start tolerating this and then tolerating that, then it just
Yeah,
everything
where's
gets
the
out of hand.
line?
Yeah.
Yeah, where's the end of that? And that, Lord knows psychopaths will just push it till you're dead. That's the line.
Oh,
They
yeah.
they
Yeah.
want all the mouthy people that have figured this out to not be bothering them anymore. So that's how it works.
And
So
sometimes, no, oh, go
oh, go
ahead.
ahead.
You
No,
go
no,
ahead.
please, you first. I
I
was going
said,
to change the
and
subject. So
sometimes it's just never, it doesn't stop. I think some parents need to be aware that even when family court is over, it still doesn't stop.
right. And even check this crap out, Marianne. Exactly. I could not agree more. But even when it does stop, the parent won't stop it. Like I've got other parents here where they are so wrapped up on the trauma still. We even got their kid back. They're at home living with their kid and they still are living with the ghost of I've got them. There's this retribution thing. Like they need to suffer something for what they did to me and my family. And
Mhm.
I am not arguing with that at all. That is a totally valid thought and reaction after having your family destroyed. If you're
Mhm.
lucky enough to have them back,
Yeah.
congratulations. But there's so many parents out there where this is absolutely valid because they never get their kids back again, right? And
Mhm.
so this is just an evil thing. And because the Department of Justice is a fraudulent entity, you can't really get things done that are actually going to deliver justice because it doesn't deliver justice. It delivers preference,
Mhm.
which is the opposite of being fair.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
And
your,
that's why
yeah.
justice means fair. If you look up the definition of it. So if they can't provide something that's fair, it's preferential. Therefore, it's not justice. Therefore, it is, they don't have it. And in fact, you can see this very easily, like what I've been saying. I probably got to do one more, Marianne, just do a hat trick here. But we've got this four-tier justice system that is the elites on top. Oh, wait, sorry. Government on top with qualified immunity that makes them into tyrannical entities
Mhm.
because there's no government redress that violates the Constitution and the First Amendment for government redress. Then the elites are able to buy themselves out of trouble. And all I got to say now at this point is Diddy. I can crush that whole argument in one word because we just watched the Diddy trial, right?
Mhm.
And or whatever that was.
Yeah.
And
Whatever.
then
Yeah. Uh,
the showpiece, whatever that thing was, his latest performance. And then you can see how the working class are brutally oppressed with the law.
mhm.
And then you've got the freaking homeless and prisoners and the poor who have no rights. And I can prove this too, just by the point in order to file a federal lawsuit, you need to turn in a fee waiver if you are poor. That already establishes that they're going to be biased against you. And just because you can get the initial fee waived
Mhm.
doesn't mean that the entire process will be waived. Meaning you can get in, they can give the appearance of some sort of justice happening, but you will never actually be delivered justice. Meaning, once again, preferential, not fair, by definition is not justice.
Mhm.
And if a department is presenting itself as one thing and absolutely cannot fulfill that, it is fraudulent.
Mhm.
Look for my upcoming Substack post on this because it's going to be a banger. It's going to be great. Okay, so the thing I was going to try, it looks like we're running out of time here, Marianne, but for the barnstormer at the end, I want to show people how to show if their caseworker is evil because I've made this really cool little worksheet in there. There's other
Yeah.
things where you can break this down, but this makes it real cut and dried and it's a great icebreaker for you and your corrupt caseworker.
Yeah. Really.
Breakdown in communication. So I oh before I do that, sorry to steal that rush there. There's two words, I guess two terms that I want to educate the public about here that are the one's going to be in the glossary soon. I just found it, but the other one's already in there. Structural violence is already in there. Structural violence is a type of violence performed by a government entity within an administration or a bureaucracy. It
Mhm.
is by far the most dangerous type of violence, as the definition even says.
Mhm.
And it is It is the thing that we're pointing at basically when we're talking about being genocidal here. That's the instrument. Because here in America, in the US, they always want to say, well, we define domestic violence as these things and interpersonal, interpartner violence as these qualities, right? But they never get into abuse done by to the people by the state. And that's on
Mhm.
purpose. And any type of country that's genociding their own people, obviously. So
Mhm.
you got to look for the things they're leaving out. Lies of omission. Check out Busted to see all the different types of lies. So you can
Yeah.
know these things by name because nothing will shut a liar down faster than using the specific term for what kind of lie they just used and
Mhm.
saying why it's a lie. That shuts them down and makes them think about it a little more.
Yeah.
Um, so structural violence is one of these terms. The other term is karoshi. This is a Japanese word, I believe, definitely Asian to some degree,
Mhm.
but it's also true in China as well. Both these countries have bad problems. In South Korea, we know, and North Korea, we can assume. And Thailand, okay, it's what it means is karoshi. It's overworked to death. It often results in heart attacks. Huh? Sounds
Mhm.
similar. And it leads to all other types of health problems. But this could be created in the United States. So overworking to death is a symptom of being pushed too hard to be able to come up with your monthly expenses
Uh-huh.
for your whole life
Oh, so
until it
sad.
ends. Okay. So, but in other countries, they have an actual name for it. And somehow here in the US, we forgot to make up a word for it or figure out that that was a thing. So
Wow.
we need to start spreading the word. Karoshi is the problem here. Karoshi is the problem created through the structural violence from human services and family courts. That's how
Now,
you put that in a sentence.
how do you spell it?
Karoshi. Good for Googling.
Interesting.
Yep. So from there
Wow.
we get into the other definitions that follow from that, like they're evil, demonic, or satanic. And when people hear me say that, demonic just means they're wicked, internally wicked, obviously wicked. If you're trafficking children, breaking all these laws, you are a wicked liar.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so demonic, that totally qualifies. People get pissed off when I call them satanic. All that means is inherently evil,
Mm-hmm.
which is what that is. And here we're going to go over and make the point about what's evil. And as soon as you've got evil established, you can call them satanic. They may gripe and bellyache, but that's what the glossary is for. So you can use really strong terms and then say, here's the dictionary definition from dictionary.com. You're satanic.
Hmm.
When you are stealing my kids against the law, I can prove it's outside of your jurisdiction. You are being satanic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good at using them in sentences.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
anyways, okay. So we also in there's the definition of tyranny in the glossary, so you can look it up and see we're absolutely in that already. It's been the case for a long time. So everybody with their Second Amendment speeches, warm those up.
Yeah.
And oppression is an oppressive state created by the government, but it also has a key element of depression caused by the abuse from the government. So karoshi is specifically oppressive created by the structural violence from within the evil and satanic human services and family courts.
Yes.
And those are all legitimate statements. All right.
Wow. It's
By
unbelievable.
definition. So
Wow.
that's what the glossary can do for you. So it's not just a silly glossary, it's a very powerful tool. In fact, in the glossary, one of the best things in there is at the bottom of each one of these definitions, there's threads about regarding evil or regarding government. So whatever things overlap with that definition, you can get down in there and there's like 20 or 30 other terms that are linked right underneath that all have to do with that. So you can very quickly see the relationship between evil, tyranny, satanic, and the structural violence and just picking around in the thread. And so it's
Mhm.
very easy to construct an entire legal argument very quickly using a bunch of these words.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a powerful tool. All right, let's show how we can show caseworkers are evil.
Okay.
Give me just 1 second here. I'm going to have to switch over screens probably. All right, got it?
Yep.
Okay, let me know if it pauses again.
Oh, no, I got it.
Okay. Okay, so this all is based, and once again, you can all go and Google this video and make this cool little worksheet. This is a neato way, but this is basically a framework of how I've done this to prove people have antisocial personality disorders in general in the courts. What I do is I highlight and flag the behavior or the antisocial trait in question. And then from that point, I link that name, like say no empathy, with a link to a video by a qualified subject matter expert on YouTube. You can find quite a few of them. I'm sure most of your audience is already familiar with Dr. Ramani Durvasula, I believe is her last
Mm-hmm.
name, but
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Ramani is what she normally goes by. She is incredibly accurate with this.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Les Carter has also got this thing nailed like nobody's business. In fact, anybody who doesn't have a good relationship with their dad should really just check out Dr. Les Carter because he's like the dad everybody needed.
Mm-hmm.
He's good stuff. Anyways, I think he's actually said so much about narcissism, he's done. I saw just like a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago, he's not making any more narcissism videos.
Hmm.
But because of that, he's covered every freaking subject you can imagine about narcissism.
Wow.
He's done it for
Wow.
years. Anyways, this one's a barnstormer here at the end with narcissism is the first step towards evil, where, and I'll read here from the top, uh, this worksheet here will determine if your difficult case, quote unquote, professional or judge is actually evil as determined by the behaviors noted by Dr. Les Carter's video. There's the link, so you can go right to it. Dr. Carter is a subject matter expert on narcissism and other antisocial personality disorders. Now, in Colorado, this works because we've got the PFFD, but if you're in other states, you can still use the spirit of the PFFD by saying no one in social services should be having an antisocial personality disorder.
Oh,
Maybe a
they
better way to
do.
say it is no one with an antisocial personality disorder has any business working in social services
Right.
because they're not qualified for duty there, clearly by the terms. So
Mm-hmm.
then the first thing they're going to say is no one here has an antisocial personality disorder, demonstrating their gaslighting and their lack of self-awareness and all the other parts that are actually part of their personality disorder. So that's how you can get around that if you're not in Colorado. If you're in Colorado, there's a thing called the PFFD, which is linked right down here below, and we can use that. And then I also listed the Colorado Rules of Procedure Code here. Once again, you can have that translated to your state by using the AI tool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there is the video right there.
Oh,
So you
great.
can go look into it. And if you pick right on that one, it'll take you right where he says what the definition of evil is. But I've saved you the time by writing it down here. So this whole thing is a checklist set up to dedicate to your favorite caseworker or judge, and you can just put their name right in the top. So we can put in here whatever and make sure when you're
Judge
getting ready.
Sam Brogue.
What's that? Sorry?
Judge Sam Brogue.
We got it.
Judge Shad Connolly.
Pick one to start with.
I
Oh,
don't know
wait.
where to,
Oh, how about this? Then you don't know where to start with? Pennsylvania, right?
yeah.
Cool. We'll just go as a blanket policy on these things. And
Is
you
it
could do
PA?
any person up on top, and it's just how you'd print it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the first thing is primary indicators, dehumanization. Were they depriving you of your dignity?
Oh, yeah.
File that in the Department of Duh.
Yeah.
Okay. Secondary indicators, for control over everything, like maybe the law. So I'll check that for you.
Yep.
That's true, right?
Yep.
Okay. Strong need to superimpose their will over everyone else.
Yes.
Okay. Gross insensitivity towards others' needs.
Most definitely.
I'm just going to hit this zero
Yeah.
empathy one for you. I don't even need to ask. Okay. Pervasive and omnipresent
Oh,
meanness.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Find satisfaction when they inflict pain.
Hmm.
Now here, this is a legitimate thing. Did he actually show pleasure when he was doing it, or did he act indifferent?
Oh, no, he showed pleasure.
Okay.
Even
I'm
the
trying to,
opposing attorney. Yeah.
okay. I want to, I want to play devil's advocate here just so we can make this the best case possible for these jerks. Okay. So no remorse as they mistreated others. We already did zero empathy, so I'm sure there's no remorse, right? Did he
Yeah.
come back and apologize for it, Marianne?
Oh, no. Why would
I
they?
didn't think so. Yeah. Dominance creates a sense of excitement. Did he pee himself a little while he was on stand? You
Yeah.
probably don't know.
Well, he could have. I
He could have. We don't know. Did he get excited? He didn't need to pee himself to just qualify for this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he enjoyed,
Yeah,
mistreating.
I think that works. No accountability. That's
Yeah,
across the
that's
board
already
for
there.
everybody who
Yeah.
works in government. Sick and twisted sense of humor. Did he make
Yes.
jokes at your expense?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Dishonesty. I got it.
Yeah.
No insight. You already said that. They're part of the judicial system. I know
Yeah.
dishonest. Okay. So no insight, self-reflection, or self-examination. Got you there. Okay. So right here, Marianne, you're like, oh my gosh, he's qualified for everyone. He's so evil, right? Well, you don't need to qualify for everyone. Let's do the scoring. So right down below here, we got the scoring. So even one factor from this list is a major red flag. And why do I say that? Because read every single one of these. If they are in control of you and your family, any one of these is super dangerous.
Mm.
No remorse as they mistreat others. Just pick any of them. What's the nicest one? Dishonesty. Honesty's for losers. That's a completely dangerous thing for somebody making decisions about your family. Okay, I did not pick these words out and make these up. These are all quotes from the video that the Dr. Carter reads off in the video.
Right.
Okay, so you're like, where is that? Right here, you can pick right on this link. It will take you to a timestamp right where the definition of dehumanization for evil starts. And
Nice.
from that point on, it goes through all the quotes from right up above. So, what you can do is just print off this first page for whoever you want to send this to and send it to them because then they can click on the link themselves and see you didn't say any of these things. You just noted that they had these actions happen while they were performing their job. If you cannot perform your job without hurting yourself or others, that qualifies as a personality disorder. So,
Hmm.
right here, you're saying here's antisocial traits, a lot of them, and all of these would qualify under the DSM 5 as
Right.
traits of antisocial personality disorder. So here you go. Now you've got validation. The only last piece to this puzzle is you need to have a little stack of emails or court orders or your transcription from your hearing or
Hmm.
whatever that makes these points for you. And you can say the absence of these points, like there was zero empathy. You aren't going to have to point at empathy. You're going to say, look at this whole thing. There's no empathy for me or my family in there. So
Right.
it's really pointing out the absence of things, which is what liars do all the time. These lies of omission, leaving
Hmm.
crap out of their stories, right?
Right.
That totally makes all the difference, right? They attacked me for no reason, but the part of the story they left out is they attacked them first and then just blame the attacked party for the response to create the illusion that that was the actual original bad maneuver, right? That's a
Right.
classic maneuver. I cover that and all types of other gaslighting that they use, including circular logic. And when they combine all of them together, when they use circular logic with projection, gaslighting, and these double talk, all kinds of things. I've got it nailed there. That Busted is a good book. It also in that book and in the advocate tools there's a whole section in both of them about working with difficult personalities. But the one in Busted actually has a whole list of awesome responses to use when you're dealing with like liars, like and
Yeah.
different things. Like if they're going off in a list of lies, a cool response to use to be able to counter them like really fast in the middle of like in the action of the whole thing.
Hmm.
Very powerful toolkit. Anyways, though, I'm gonna stop sharing this because now we know how to prove your caseworker's evil. And once again, this could be anybody, right? We made this out for the Pennsylvania judiciary, but it could be any state, any person within the state, or the
Hmm.
state as a whole. You could write this for your state's human services or your specific caseworker.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
and here's the
definitely.
fun part, Marianne. Let's just look at this really quick. These are all things that are just normal qualities of family court. It's
Yeah.
like shooting fish in the barrel because they are inherently evil because they are part of a psychopathic cult.
Right, right. Even my first caseworker, I complained to the governor and I talked to her boss afterwards, and he said she was taken out of the field because she's not fit to be around people. It's
You
like,
know what's fun? If they have an antisocial personality disorder, not only are they not supposed to be around people, they definitely should never be left to care for children or people with disabilities. And
oh,
that is why the court system itself creates so much PTSD, is because it is literally evil by the definition of the word. They are literally evil and satanic, and they are part of a cult. So this
hmm.
is literally a satanic cult.
Yeah.
And people don't want to say that because they don't sacrifice babies, but they do.
Hmm.
Not in the traditional
And,
sense, but
and
they
parents.
probably do,
Hmm. Yeah,
right? Because
right.
what do you do when you've got a lot of spare lost children around? You can facilitate these evil bastards running cash for kids.
Yeah, yeah, this is
Sure.
horrible.
Sorry.
No, I'm just so
It's true.
glad you came on. I can't wait for when you come on with Jamie next month.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too because that's gonna be a real one. This one was pretty good, but that
Oh,
one's gonna be
definitely. Well,
full on.
how can people reach you if they have any questions? Because I'm going to put everything into the podcast notes, but if you want to tell people how to be reached,
That would be awesome. And would you be able to put the links for the toolkits actually in your video description?
I think I can. Um,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, we'll talk about that when we jump off.
Okay. Okay. And if not, if anybody needs links to this, please email me and I will be more than happy to get them for you. My email address is paladnmedia@protonmail.com. That is PALADN media@protonmail.com. And then there's paladnmedia.substack.com to get to my Substack, which is something you guys are going to want to subscribe to catch this next post I'm about ready to drop. And then is the Paladin store is I think it's best if I just put the link in the description and then we'll do that.
Okay. Okay. Well, hey, don't jump off, okay? Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these courtrooms. I'm your host, Marianne Petrie. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube. Please like and subscribe, Apple iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Google, and other platforms I don't even know about. Again, feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. Thank you, Nate Munro. You are a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you, Marianne. I appreciate the time.
Definitely. Thank you.